Multiple dimensions of reality are playing out right now. What are you experiencing? Hi, I'm Joanne Cary. Welcome back to the Embodied Soul podcast, a multidimensional space intended to support you in mastering living, being, and thriving as the embodied soul you are. In this week's episode, I've been called to talk about the layering of multidimensional realities that we're experiencing right now. We are seeing multiple realities playing out at once. And the question is, which ones are you experiencing? How is this impacting you? And what are the opportunities of this time for you to navigate through and choose the highest timeline, the highest frequency or outcome? If you are interested in joining me on this conversation, please pull up a comfy chair, invite in your soul, and be open to receive exactly what you need to live, be, and thrive as the embodied soul you are. In this week's episode, I'm really wanting to dive into what I'm seeing, experiencing in the reality around us. And that is multiple realities, multiple layers of realities, all happening at once around us, seeing it all play out depending on the frequency we're at. So what does this mean? Let's go back to our concept of all time is now. Everything that is happening in this now, present, eternal now moment, which means every potential that could ever happen is happening now. And what we're experiencing is our idea of time, and how we experience our eternal now moment is dependent on the frame we see our world through and the level of our consciousness, or the level of our vibration, our frequency that we are living at. And so what's happening right now as we are lifting in consciousness as both a planet as well as individually, whether you know it or not, everyone's being impacted and everyone is shifting and lifting and changing and releasing as we move through this time. But what is happening now is kind of interesting and exciting all at once, because we are in this octave, or this dimension of frequency, if you prefer that word, where we are seeing more clearly very different realities playing out. So as an example, you might be seeing people around you or in your social feeds experiencing really dark times. They might be thinking that and experiencing attacks and dark energies and violence. You might have other people who seem to be rather oblivious to it all. They're just living on autopilot. They're living their days very unconcerned about what's happening in the world, just being. You might see other people in your reality who are opening to their guides, connecting to light language, having these extra dimensional experiences. And they're all playing out now. And how we are experiencing them is dependent on the vibrational frequency we're holding as soul in body. Another example I'll just use is what is known as, has been labeled as Comet 3-Eye Atlas. So you might see an experience in your feed that it is simply a comet flying through space. An interstellar one at that, one of the only 3 that we have seen so far. You also might be seeing the feeds around 3-Eye Atlas that is saying it's scary, it's ominous, it's fearful. On the other hand, you might be seeing in your feed around 3-Eye Atlas that it is a consciousness, it is a higher dimensional frequency that is actually here to support humanity in its opening. You might be seeing feeds where 3-Eye Atlas is going to be probing the earth and other areas for some unknown purpose. All of these have different vibrational frequencies to them. Some of them are very neutral. Some of them are fearful. Some of them are expansive. And all of it is depending what you're seeing coming up in your feed, if at all, and you might not even have seen it at all. And again, that shows where your vibrational frequency and what your frame of reference is letting into your experience. And we have to remember that there is no right or wrong to this. It is all learning. It is all part of our path. We are being drawn forward through our frequency and through our heart's desires, which is our soul speaking to us on what is our mission. What did we come here to learn? So release any judgment you have, because it's all you. It's all your experience. And we are all unique. And that's part of this process that I want to talk about, or am talking about right now. So depending on your vibrational frequency, where you are, that's what you're going to experience. So what is the opportunity at this time? Given that everything is happening now and it all is dependent upon your alignment to it, your vibrational frequency, just like a tuning fork, you're going to come into alignment with what's resonating at the same level frequency you are. So the opportunity is to understand that we are in choice. You get to look around your reality right now and say, am I liking what I'm seeing? Am I liking what I'm experiencing? How am I feeling? Because remember, many people right now are going to be seeing a few of these realities, because depending on your mood, depending on what you're experiencing, what you're consuming, during a day, you might experience one of the higher level experiences or one of the more expansive realities that are playing out. Or you might have fallen down into a circumstance where maybe you were in an argument with somebody, and now something comes up in your YouTube feed or in your experience that is maybe feeling a bit more dark, a bit more gloomy, a bit more fearful. And this is beautiful, because if you go back a number of years, we were so heavily anchored into the three-dimensional reality that that's all we could see. There was only fear. There was only separation. And with the exception of a few people who maybe have opened up to their innate knowing, people who had opened up to some extrasensory abilities, or maybe who have been traveling around to some of the vortex spaces around the earth, like Sedona or Mount Shasta or Mount Fuji or the pyramids, which are vortex high energy frequency places on the earth. In all likelihood, you were just experiencing what the collective was experiencing, which was fear, control, and just living our lives very much the same. All of us kind of having our emotional ups and downs, but basically everyone was having the same third dimensional experience. So the beauty of the time that we're in is we're in this transitional octave, and especially at this time where the energies are so heightened and there's so much support from our planets, the cosmos, the beings around us, we can see what our different options are. We can tell, based on how we're experiencing our day, which reality we're aligning with. And the beauty of being able to see it and have that awareness of it is that we can then choose. We can then choose where to align. Because remember, we are always in choice, whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously. And I recommend you going back to the earlier episodes of the Embodied Soul podcast for some of the basic foundational teachings on choice and the frame that we live in. But if we can see the different realities and we can tell when we're aligning with one that doesn't feel as good, it feels a bit icky, it feels a bit heavy, it feels a bit dense, it's taking your energy, so you're feeling a little bit drained all the time, then that's your opportunity to say, oh, actually, I can make a new choice. I can begin to consume differently. I can begin to look at what was I thinking when I started to feel or align into that reality that I don't want to, that I didn't want to experience, that I would rather experience these higher, more expansive ones. You might listen to one of my channeled activations and feel very lit up, feel very expanded. and you want to anchor into that as your daily life. Well, you get to do that through choosing to engage with those types of experiences, through choosing to engage with the teachings that I've provided as part of the Embodied Soul podcast. Very practical ways for you to embody soul in your living daily life. Yet here's what I understand is ultimately going to happen. And the guides have spoke to it before around sort of the splitting of reality, but it's less a splitting as it is an aligning to. We will get to a point in the vibrational frequency where fear frequency just isn't available to us. Of which case, diving back down into this three-dimensional reality of fear is going to become much more challenging, if not impossible. We're going to move into a frequency or a level of experience where fear just isn't a thing. It's hard to believe, but it's true. So your opportunity right now is to keep your vision set on the highest that you can, to use the practices that I outlined in the earlier episodes. Choose to align your frequency to the highest that you can in each now moment. When you feel yourself off balance, or when you're feeling yourself being invited into fear, when you feel yourself going down the spiral of gloom and doom, catch yourself and then make a new choice to align your frequency to the highest energy you can in that moment. Make a new choice to disengage from that experience that you're in. Make sure that you've got healthy boundaries set up so that you are consciously choosing to align to the reality that you're wanting to experience, the higher level, high vibrational, expansive oneness environment that we're moving towards. You can call it Christ consciousness, you can call it unity consciousness, oneness, just aligning with source. Because if you're listening to these words, that's what you're wanting. That's where you're being called to. And it is your choice over and over again to continue to monitor where you're at, what level of frequency you're aligning to, what reality are you aligning to, and then make the choices that support the aligning to the one that you want. And if you look in your reality, if you look in what you're experiencing and it's not what you want, then you understand that you are not a vibrational match, of which case you are getting what you are. You're getting where your frequency is at, and that will be telling to you. And so you will still see over time that you fluctuate up and down, but you will notice with conscious choice, conscious alignment, choosing again and again to choose the higher, to come from your heart. Utilize your heart space. This is your connection to source. Intend to be speaking from your heart. Intend for the words that come out your mouth to be filtered through your heart, through the higher frequency. Choose not to engage with the drama. Choose not to engage with the fear. Everything is happening now, and you can only align with what's in vibrational frequency to you. But as you choose to align to the highest, as you have conscious intention to make high choices, to align to your divine will, as you choose over and over again to disengage from the drama and the fear, to set healthy boundaries, you will gradually anchor in the higher vibrational frequency so that even when you have those wobbly moments, you won't dip down as far down into the lower levels of fear. And that's the opportunity. You will be shown clearly, if you're not already, you will be clearly shown the different realities that are outpicturing. You will see it, and then you get to choose it. And then I would highly recommend continuing to choose the highest and the highest over and over and over and over and over again. Because I tell you, as I align and embody more of my divine self in my body and my cells, the experience, even though I have highs and lows, they are so much less extreme. If you think of a sine wave, that's one of these waves like this, you can have one that has highs and lows like this, Or you can have a sine wave that goes like this. The higher in vibrational frequency you get, your highs and lows are still there, but they're not dipping down into the like depression and the deep sadness or the anger or the fear. You can still go there if you want to. Again, that's choice. That's the benefit of being a soul embodied right now. But it's not something that you would need to do, and it'll become much harder to do. You'll still have the emotions, you'll still have joy and happiness and sadness and loss and grief, but not to the same extent, and certainly not with the fear attached to it. So begin to be aware of what you're seeing, what's coming up in your feeds, what's coming up in your emails. What experiences are you having in the world around you? And are they what you want? And if they're not, begin to choose, because you're going to be shown so clearly how the different realities are playing out, and you get to choose which one you want to go play in. Because you can play in them all. There's no right or wrong, but there is your choice as a soul embodied, and this is a miraculous time that we get to experience it all. And it's your choice. And if I can share from my own desire, my own hope, my own vision, is it choose the highest, choose from love, choose from joy, disengage from fear. Your experience will be one that you will more likely prefer as you do that. And I've provided lots of tools for you through this podcast series to support you in that. And with that said, if you have loved this episode of Embodied Soul, I invite you to like it, share it, turn on notifications, and subscribe to my channel. It really does help get the energy and messages out to those who need it, and it's completely free. I hope you subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Embodied Soul.